Hey, Decathlon Gamer, welcome back to Pro Cycling Manager 2020. It's Champions. We're on episode number 13. We're at the Rhone Alps Tour. We need a top 5 in the overall for our sponsor. Of course, it's not a major feature of the year caring about the sponsors. We're going to be okay. But, you know, we still try to go after at least a few of the major ones. We've skipped a few minor objectives, which has seen our evaluation fall. One of those was a success, the others were not, so it came down a bit. But here we are, focusing on trying to get a top 5 in the GC. It's stage number 3. Right now, Nebula, who is a very strong time trialist, did well in that regard, was 3rd place, currently sits in 4th place. We have this double Category 1 here, following a Cat 2 not long ago, and there's already riders that have been dropped, including Cyclops. It makes sense that Cyclops was dropped because, well, Cyclops is a 55 and everything, so just not capable of putting together much of a climb. But this is also my B team for the most part, and the reason for having the B team here is that our other remaining large objective is going to be going on at the same time, so there wasn't much to pick from. See, Groot here is going back way too fast.
The breakaway is not to everybody's liking. The peloton has significantly increased its speed.
Long gone. 54 left in the peloton already. Nebula also starting to go back. I'm going to use Groot to protect Nebula here in just a moment as you get a little bit closer.
Behind. A team leader is falling behind.
Black Panther now the latest to start fading. Just 49 left. We're nearly over this climb, and there you go. There's the drop.
So this is the last third of the race. Anyone who is gunning for victory has got to make a move
itself down to 38.
Soon.
Breakaway itself down to just 1 as we go over the top. 32 as 6 more are dropped just before eclipsing the top of the climb. Small amount of recovery small amount of recovery happening there, and now a small group begins the final climb. 32. Nebula still in a bad way.
Holy cow, that was a
Ant-Man,
fall.
who was solo, is struggling a little bit. Going to use them to take over for Groot, who's getting dropped. And now there's 27 left, 26 left. 25. Nebula. Gel. There's a lot of climb left to go. I think we might have to be turning towards Star-Lord for our top 5 hopes. What is Star-Lord's overall time? 16 seconds down in 39th. The overall race leader is still in this group. Is that Laporte? It is Laporte.
A team leader is
Laporte's still
behind.
here with his 63 mountain rating. Nebula, let's back off a little bit. Try to conserve that energy down to 19. Very small amount of recovery here over the next little bit, but she is nearly done. Ant-Man's been dropped. And Nebula has been dropped. And Star-Lord's about to be dropped. And we have no riders left at the front. Can we pull this back over the climb? How far back are we? Or do we need to rely on Star-Lord trying to regain contact? I don't care how poorly we do on the other side. They're awfully close to each other. So is Ant-Man. Ant-Man already looking to try to pull back up to Nebula.
Fall in the pack. Apparently, the leader is on the
here
ground.
Now, back in contact. The leader was dropped before the top. Already down to 17k, so
The finish line is getting
Nebula
close.
catches
The
a
riders
rider.
have just
Finally,
passed the 15
Ant-Man.
kilometers road sign. A group of riders has come a cropper, but they all look ready to set off again.
Ant-Man needs to get up there and help pull this thing back.
10 kilometers remaining.
If Ant-Man can get up here to where Nebula is, who just got dropped, we can help pull that group back up. There we go. In a little bit of time,
the finish line is getting close. The riders just passed the 5 kilometers road sign.
5K to go.
Again, an attack is launched.
4K
The group
to
has
go.
to break apart. There goes the sprint. The strongmen are giving their
Definitely
all.
losing some time.
It's a victory
Laporte
for
takes
Christophe
really.
Laporte.
Laporte was
The
dropped.
tailenders are still coming in. That's a group
Star-Lord was 6th.
But
Okay,
as often
he was
happens,
closer to the 5th
they're
than I
all
thought.
getting back in the
Harada
saddle.
up there in 7th. Nebula took 14th on the stage. So Star-Lord is 6th. That gives us some hope that we can still grab top 10. So we got 6th and 14th. Oh, very, very surprising move. Top 2 had a little gap, but then Nebula never made contact with Star-Lord, but there was riders kind of spread out a few bike lengths apart throughout that final kilometer, and so Nebula ends up on same time, all the way down to 20th actually, as the 3rd place rider. That is a stroke of luck, and now I'm actually glad we focused on trying to pull Nebula up, because Laporte, Garcia de Mateos, they've got an advantage now, but Restrepo just a handful of seconds up, and then Nebula right there ahead of the others. Look at that, minute 7 down to all of those riders, and yet Nebula's at a minute 3. 4 seconds gained from the first stage. So a quick update on Rhone Alps as we finish in 4th place after stage 3. Stage 4 is another sprint stage. It's going to be taking place the same day as the race I'm in right now. I'll get to that one in a moment. Back on the Tour de Finisterre. This is the Tour de Finisterre. Sorry, back on Rhone Alps. Rhone Alps was first stage punchy, but we ended up taking 3rd place on a punchy stage, not a time trial. Get my wires crossed here in more ways than one. Just having one of those days, I suppose. Alright, so we have 120 kilometers to go. We're actually going through the most difficult climbing stage right now. There's a lot of riders in the break. 17. They've got a 3.5 minute gap. That's healthy. That is healthy, but generally 3.5 minutes is not going to be enough with this kind of distance being covered. Just over 100 kilometers left to go, so we'll be setting ourselves up for getting water one more time. As we go under the 60k mark, we've got one more pretty healthy climb ahead of us. We're going to have to up our tempo a little bit before that, as we don't have the greatest group of climbers. But speaking of, this is the A team, so getting 4th place in that other race with a sprint stage left to go, which means, yes, we got probably 4th place. That 4-second advantage, maybe one of those other riders in the top 20 squeezes a spot away from us, but we're not going to fall further than, like, say, 5th. So we should be pretty healthy on that part and able to quick sim that. Alright, that was the worrying section, and there was fatigue, but everybody gets through it. There are 19 riders off the back, but we were comfortably at the front and safe. 60k now, so we'll go ahead and get water that final time. Ironman, the rider that's riding solo. Our leader today is Gamora, who is kind of the leader right now for the team anyway, but she's got a strong +3 race day condition, giving her a 76 mountain, 75 on the hills, 73 on the sprint, 71 acceleration, resistance at 77. That's pretty healthy. So 35k to go. Let's go ahead and bring it on down as we set up the finish. Breakaway still has a 1.5 minute gap, but it's definitely coming down. And there is some undulation as we begin our first circuit towards the finish. There's the uphill, downhill, uphill. That is the finish line, the little finishing sequence. You gotta keep that in mind. A lot of downhill where being at the front's gonna be really, really important, and we can certainly manage that, timing that right. But then there's that little uphill right at the finish, so we've got to be aware of that.
Those guys up front aren't going to be making too many
as we try to push to get into the top 10, surrounded by World Tour riders.
Leader has fallen.
Certainly the
We can
best
only hope that it
World
doesn't
Tour
have any
riders,
impact
but
on
there's
the
good
outcome
ones.
of the
There's
race.
Pitters, right there who just fell. 116 left now, 22k to go. Definitely some undulation through here, so it's not going to be the easiest lead up. And there's some technical corners, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and that gives us a chance. At the moment, Peloton down to just 45 as there was a split in the field. That's very good for us. Those 17 nearly caught. As we turn left again, that final time though, we go straight on. Makes it a little less technical. Okay, as we go over the top here, this is a good time to set ourselves up. We've got downhill or flat for a while before we go into kind of one last lap, one last left-hander before coming back and going for the finish line. So the obvious choice is Gamora. I think Hulk is going to be the one with the climbing and good speed to lead us out. Spider-Man was the other protected one, I believe. Yes, and then Iron Man. Captain America clearly in the next best shape. Doesn't matter on these two. They'll be used up early. So Black Widow is a relatively quick rider, but that's okay. Go and evolve. Go ahead and stay on that left-hand side. Coming towards the front, still got to pass that breakaway group, and that's always one of those opportunities, the chaos of a breakaway group getting reeled in. It's always a great time to suddenly come out at the front.
Only 10 kilometers left.
But you're going to have to ride a little bit harder because you're still not even clear. Here we go into the last lap.
That's the end of the breakaway. The pack gave them no chance.
This is that time to fight through it. 21 in the peloton. Black Widow fights through it. Where's her teammates? Everybody's there. 7.6k. We need to be at the front. This is still breakaway riders riding hard at the front. They've not given up.
That looks like a really bad
Oh,
fall.
no.
It's a shame, but he's not going any further.
90% of the team just went down in a crash.
But it doesn't look too serious.
That opens a little gap, but Thor's the only one who got through it. 6k to go, and Thor's the only one. I want you to take position here on Amador's wheel. We just lost most of our team. Hulk and Gamora actually did not crash, but are totally caught out here. Because they're still trying to follow riders who went down in the crash. It didn't default to who's there, what to do. 31 riders left at the front of the field. That top 10 gets made so much easier with that chaos. But we only have one rider to go, 3k. And so we're going to have to focus now on Thor for the top 10 because they are toast behind us. Captain America looks like he might be hurt. Okay.
Attack by Quintana.
There's the attack. Here's the downhill. This is where you need to really get the time.
The pace is so high that a few riders are going to be very sore at the end of the day.
Thor.
And the final sprint is off. Who's going to be
the
the first to the line today?
Does not have much energy here. That's why we have to go fairly late. I don't know if that's a top 10.
Well,
he's fading now. He's fading.
Win. It was very well deserved.
Well, there's your chaos right there at the top. Mataway should have done better considering the conditions. Colbrelli should have done better. Woods should have won this thing. Sherpison likewise. We're way outside of the top 10. We get 17th with Thor. Here comes Hulk and Gamora, but way late to the party.
We're waiting for the tailenders who continue to arrive.
They miss out.
A rider has just climbed into the support vehicle.
Captain America
His
is
race
out
is over.
and injured. So we lose Captain America on this one. So we pick up an injury. Most of the team crashes out. All but one rider gets caught up in it in one form or another. The one rider getting through had already burnt a lot of energy and ends up just claiming 17th. So we fail on the objective. Again, not actually important. The injury doesn't actually
now for the race highlights.
impact things. You still collect experience. All of that still happens. The race experience doesn't seem to actually impact how much experience you gather. It seems to just happen naturally, organically in the background, which is why it's time to scoot forward in time a bit. And I'll see you back for national championships. We've reached the national championships mid-June. We're not going to do those races today, but we're going to take a quick look at the development side of where we're at. We can see a lot of 71s now. Still a good chunk of riders at that 69, 68 stage. Captain America and Star-Lord are clearly the two that have lingered behind. Also, Cyclops finally off and running, 58 overall, and has hit just that first level. Might get that second level before the end of the season. And actually, I think at this rate, it's been, 3 months? So, yeah, they should. Another 3 months, right? And actually, it's been a little while now. I mean, it's been 3-4 weeks since that happened. So, they might get 2 more levels this season, possibly. That'll get them into the low 60s. They just have that slow development because the rider that we hijacked, piggybacked. But that's taken care of for next season. We'll use the format I used this time, but we'll use it in signing a rider and then just hijacking that rider and altering them. So hopefully that one turns out a bit better. One thing is, as they develop and as our reputation is low, it's going to be harder to sign some of these guys for the next season. Money, no problem. We have lots of it. So it's the number of dossier points that we got to keep an eye on. And Wolverine is going crazy in that regard. Wolverine was 6 points, and then all of a sudden I got one of those messages that it's now going to be 9 points, and then I got another message like 2 weeks later, now it's going to be 13 points. It's elevating very quickly. If our reputation doesn't keep up with their growth and development very well over the next couple of seasons, we're suddenly going to get to the point where we can't even afford the dossier points involved in trying to re-sign the expiring contracts, in which case I'll have to figure that out in some specific kind of way. But as for the development side, those that have the highest flat ratings, we have a sprinter. That's good. We have a couple Barradors. That's good. That's a positive sign. That's the riders that should have that. Climbing, a climber has the top mountain rating. A puncher has the second best, and they're pretty good punching wise as well. A sprinter, time trialist, I don't know about that, but 3 of the top 5, 4 of the top 6 are the right riders to be in those situations, though my stage racers lagging behind a bit. Punchiness, top 2. Time trial, 1 of them anyway. The other ones moving up that list. Remember our time trialists. Last time we did this, our time trialists were down here. So, progress. Prologue. There's the other one. That's where their points have gone so far. They've gone into prologue, not time trial. Average of the two is a 70. Cobble rating. That's one that's hurting. That's kind of at random on who's getting that. Sprinting. Couple punchers. They should have the acceleration, which isn't far behind. Not necessarily the sprint. Sprinters are still lagging behind. Don't take that one. That's our third sprinter. There's Wolverine, a 67. So sprinters are struggling. So there might be something behind that. That sprinters develop slower. Acceleration. This should be the punchers. And yes, both punchers are near the top. Downhill. A stage racer. Okay. Barrador. A Barrador. Stamina. Resistance. Stage racers? No. Way down there. Recovery, at least. No. Our stage racers are just lagging behind. But a 68-66 shows how they're both lagging behind. I do think as we spread out the potential 6, 7, 8, I think one of them is a 6 and one of them is a 7. So I'm guessing 6. Star-Lord's maybe a 6, probably as well. And then just a 7 for Thor. but lagging behind even the other 7s. So I don't know what's going on with our stage racers or our sprinters. That's the area that seems to be a bit off from where they really should be, and our classics riders. Most of the others are really starting to take shape as they should, and even though they're lagging behind, the start point on the experiment, Cyclops, it's coming along. We're going to do just one more of the totally open 85 ceiling. We'll do a 60 overall for the start of this upcoming season to see how they differ in growth, starting at 10 points higher than everybody else. And we all know most of us tend to go for the highest 5.8 potential that we can get our hands on of new gen types, or at least that's what I often do, and I know others do that as well. We'll see how they play into that. Are the others going to get anywhere near that ceiling? Will that 60 with a 10-point jump compared to everybody else, will they have an easier time getting to that ceiling? We'll see how that works out. But once we've done that, so after this season, we'll start specializing a little bit. Not that 85 stuff. We talked about that in a previous episode of trying to get a realistic top rider. Somebody who does have 85s in one or two areas, but not across the board. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time as we take on the National Championships. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.